Quentin Freeman received 6 stitches to his head. A swollen eye, an abrasion on his nose, and was beaten with a trash can after resisting sexual assault. 5 inmates enter his cell saying, you are going to fuck a fight. I'm sorry. Look, I'm laughing now. I swear to God, I wasn't going to B unit. I wasn't going. I would have went to PC. I would have went to PC. All right, look, we're going to try to get through this, man. God damn. Quentin Freeman received 6 stitches to his head, a swollen eye, an abrasion on his nose, and was beaten with a trash can after resisting sexual assault. 5 inmates entered his cell saying, you are going to fuck a fight. All right. And I know Quint Freeman, that was my homeboy. He ain't go. He ain't go. Boatwright had come from juvenile, and if I'm not mistaken, and forgive me if I am, but if I'm not mistaken, he come from juvenile, and I had already gone across the yard. I had already gone on my journey to ITP, and Boatwright was still in juvenile. So by the time it was time for him to either go to extended juvenile or get ready to come across the yard, he went to PC, which is protective custody. But if I'm not mistaken, there was already something going on with him homosexual wise, because he had already had a name on the camp. He had already had a name, and I remember when I started hearing about him, they were talking about, you know, the new person, and you know how beautiful he was and this and that. And then when I actually seen him, I saw this little dirt ass white boy. You know what I mean? By the way, man, y'all come in and hit the like button. I understand if y'all don't hit the cash app. You know, I ain't tripping. That's cool. You know, that's your prerogative. But you coming in and not hitting the like button, man, really, that's just downright rude. It's like stealing. You coming in and you stealing. That's like coming in the house and walking past me and not even speaking to me. You know what I mean? You're being rude. Just hit the like button. Hit the like button, share, subscribe. Please. You ain't gotta hit the cash app. You know what I mean? Thank you. So Boatwright decided he gonna come out for, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was his 18th birthday. And during the time that he had been in the hole in PC, I was one of the barbers in the hole. So I was an orderly. I was a orderly in SMU, Special Management Unit, which is the block. Excuse me. And one of my partners, you know, I didn't even know that he was gay. One of my partners was writing Boatwright letters, and he would fold the letters up and give to me to give the Boatwright. And I would do them. I would take them up there. But before I give them to them, when I hit me a little corner or something by myself, I open the letter up and read it, see what's going on. I be wanting to know what I'm into. You know what I mean? So I would read the letters, and my homeboy would be telling them how, once he turned 18, he could come out of the hole and come down here with him, and and we were in the dorm together. So basically, like, come down here with us, and he would be protected, and when nobody gonna mess with him, and all this and all that. And my homeboy would tell me to make sure that he wrote me back. So I would tell Boatwright this. I say, hey man, he said he want a letter back. He want a response. And the little dude looked like he was, like, mildly irritated, but he would write the letter, have the letter prepared for me. It used to look like girl handwriting and everything. I sneak and read it too. Take it to my homeboy. So Boatwright decided he was gonna come out for his 18th birthday. And it's to my understanding that, he was just gonna come out for the birthday, have him a nice time, and go back to PC, so that he wouldn't be nobody's victim. And he came out, and of course I just got word, but Travis, you got three guys, Travis, Toad, and Home Alone. Home Alone was a juvenile. I know Home Alone personally. Home Alone was a juvenile when I was in juvenile, from Savannah. Sometime around that night, man, they asked him, I think he went to the shower. When he come back, they asked him, was he, a homosexual or something? And Boatwright fired on Travis. Fired on him. Bow, punched him in the face. Boatwright small. He trying to do what he can. Travis is experienced. I'm gonna have to pull up these records, because if I'm not mistaken, Travis was in there for the R word, and that's from the street. So you talking about an experienced guy with this, you know what I mean? So he punched Travis. Travis do what he do, get the man in the chokehold, and end up crushing his windpipe. They either do this in the room or pull him in the room. And okay, I went and did a little fact checking, and I got it right. So he get the fighting with, well, he don't get the fight, man. He punched Travis, he punched Peanut, and he get taken in the room. We just gonna say that. They pulled him in the room, and Travis run off and locked the door. Well, he locked the door and run off, rather. The guys, Home Alone and Toby, thinking that he just unconscious from being choked out, they go ahead and do what they were planning to do anyway. I gotta find a word for that. They go ahead and do what they were planning to do anyway, which means that now they are sodomizing a corpse. So they do what they do. They finish and realize that the door is locked. They can't get out at all. So I'm gonna read some story. I'm gonna give y'all a little bit real quick. Viewed in the light most favorable to the verdict, the record shows that around midnight on February 21st, 2004, a guard at the Learendale State Prison in Alto, Georgia, was alerted to a medical emergency in Butler's jail cell. Once there, the guard found the window on the cell door obstructed, and when the obstruction was removed, the guard could see Butler and a second inmate, Maurice Tobler, seated on the bed. The guard also saw a third inmate, Wayne Boatwright laying on the floor, slumped against the radiator and apparently unconscious. The presence of other inmates in Butler's cell violated internal prison policies, meaning he broke the rules. You ain't supposed to be in nobody's room. After entering the cell and handcuffing Butler and Tobler, the guard discovered that Boatwright was not breathing, had no pulse, and had blood running from his nose. At that point, the guard made the comment that if Butler and Tobler had meant to kill Boatwright, they had done a good job. Tobler immediately and voluntarily replied, "We didn't mean to kill him." Attempts to revive Boatwright were unsuccessful and he died at the scene. Butler initially stated that Boatwright had merely passed out and fallen to the ground on his own. Tobler, on the other hand, stated that at the time of Boatwright's death, another inmate named Travis McLeod had choked Boatwright to death during the fight in the cell. He further admitted that after Boatwright had been choked into unconsciousness, he, Tobler, and McLeod merely sat on his bed and smoked a cigarette instead of seeking assistance. In a subsequent interview, McLeod admitted that he had strangled Boatwright in the presence of Tobler and Butler. According to McLeod, Boatwright became angry after McLeod asked him if he were a homosexual. He said Boatwright responded by punching him in the face and that the ensuing fight he had choked Boatwright until Boatwright collapsed. As a part of the investigation, a rape kit was performed on Boatwright's body. Sperm cells matching Tobler's DNA were discovered. No conclusions could be reached as to when this was deposited, but a crime lab serologist testified that sperm were unlikely to last longer than 24 hours due to its normal body functions in bathing. So, what I want to make known is, now, I want to get one thing clear. A lot of y'all not gonna understand what, how this thing work, or the site, or just the victimology if you've never been through it. And basically what I'm trying to say is, a lot of guys become predators to keep from being predators. If you young, like we were, like Home Alone, and you've already gained a reputation for being able to take something, or you on this side of the fence, it could possibly keep them off of you and not look at you as prey, and you won't have to go through that. Or it could also backfire. It could look like, okay, you with the bullshit anyway. So you know what I'm saying? It's all fair game. You know what you done to people. You know how it go. So a lot of time the young guys become predators just to either run in the predator pack so that they don't become prey themselves. So what I want to make known is this. All right, so you got Home Alone. Like I said, Home Alone was when I knew him, he was small. I'm gonna be honest, just reading these reports and knowing what these guys have done, they sound like total monsters. Total monsters. But I knew him. I knew the actual people. Home Alone was never a threat because he was a small guy. He was real goofy, always laughing, always kept this little shit-eating grin on his face, always laughing. So he was never like really considered a threat. Maybe to the weak, maybe, but not, not to anyone really strong. So, but he was always down for whatever, and especially with the bad stuff, the bullshit, because the fact of the matter is, I think he only started with 10 years. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and I'm gonna take him to court. I'm gonna have to take him to court, man, for the who want the life sentence a little bit later on, because this guy really, so he got locked up in 2000. I got locked up in 98. He had about 4 or 5 armed robberies, a kidnapping, aggravated assault, got 10 years for everything. But I'm pretty sure that they ran them all concurrent, because if not, they would have been consecutive, which he might as well just had a life sentence. So it would have been, and they don't say anything about that. They don't say anything about 40, 50, 60 years. So I'm just, and I'm not a lawyer, but I'm taking a guess that all of those sentences, the 10 years, were ran consecutive to each other. Were ran concurrent to each other. Excuse me, not consecutive. So he took 10 years, which was in 2000. It would have been from 2000 to 2010. He'd have been out in 2010. It's now 2024, which means he'd have been home 14 years. Instead of that, he took in 2004, he had to have some butt, he wanted some butt, you know what I mean? This one thing you guys got to understand when y'all here doing this foolishness, the hormones are still raging. Boy wanted some butt, he ain't signed up for this, but this is what he got. Now he will never, ever come home. Never. He'd have been home 14 years ago. And now he got life without the possibility of ever being free again. Peanut, let's look at the other guys. Peanut, he had a bunch of, Peanut had some crazy charges also. But if I'm not mistaken, he only had for what he did, he only had 1 life sentence, which probably would have held about somewhere around 30 years. He'd have came up for parole. Right now, he's on his 26th year. Could you imagine the regret he feel now? Just when you get to the time where you could just even see a second chance, that's no longer possible. Life without parole. Life without parole. Toad. So his name is Maurice Tobler. I remember Toad because I remember when I was in the block, when I was going through what I was going through. Y'all remember I told you I had to stay in the whole 9 months. So I remember Toad walking through one day, and I remember what was it was kind of just something. He had an aura about him, right? It was the charisma, and I could tell by the way he walked, by the way he talked, by the way people said stuff to him, that he was a pretty decent guy, and he knew his way around of what was going on. And I remember asking the guy, like, who that is. And I don't know why, man. It was always a habit of mine to, like, if I had to ask about somebody and someone would tell me, my next question would always be how much time he got. Because it's almost like, how can I explain it? It's almost like making the picture a bit clearer, because you can see someone and see what they trying to show you or portray. But if, like in this instance, when they told me, when I saw him, I saw the haircut, he was clean, he was neat, looked like, but then when I asked them how much time he got and they told me life without parole, it really made me look like, dang, I wonder what he did. He a killer for real? And it just make you wonder. There's no way to know when they not gonna tell you, but it just make you know, because people know you have life without parole. They don't know what you did. So I remember one day while I was up in B unit, must have been in G1. That's the only time I've been to B unit. But I remember I saw Toad out there flipping, and he went in, and when he went and did the flip, like he was kind of bow legging and he was just all muscle. But it was amazing. So because when I saw him do the flip, like he did the somersault and flipped so high that I'm thinking like, dang, this guy should be in the gym, in the Olympics or something. You know what I mean? Just natural. He looked like he didn't even, it was effortless. And again, he had to be no bigger than 5 feet. Little dude, right? Little dude, all muscle. So I'm thinking that's how he got the name Tobe. I thought his name was Tobe, like a frog, Tobe, for the way he used to jump. That's what I thought. But obviously they was calling him Tobe because his name is Tobler. So that was my introduction to old Tobe. You know, he was cool, and I thought I was going to eventually get a chance to be around him, but I did not know that, you know, Tobe was, you know, he was. So Tobe was already doing life for aggravated sodomy and the R word from the street. From the street. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you know, again, like I said, that probably came with parole after about somewhere around 30 years. He's on his 27th year. Tobe is on his 27th year. But now we got this at hand, which takes that all away and will never come home. Never come home. Oh, okay. So I used to work at this marketing company, and for the most part, everybody there was scumbags. You weren't supposed to fraternize with the females at the job, but everybody did. And they made a word for unprotected sex. And the word that they made for unprotected sex was meatball wham. So, you know, if they were talking about one of the girls in the office and they said, did you strap up? Be like, nah, I meatball whammed her. You know what I mean? That means unprotected sex. So for the sake of YouTube, when we talking about that situation, we not going to say our words. We going to say meatball wham. Okay, so we have this is a civil action, a class action, Philip David Reese against James Donald, who was the commissioner, and Tony Turpin, who was at the time the warden of Lee Arrendale State Prison. He was the warden when I was there. A little nerdy looking white dude. We are going to read a couple of these guys. We're going to read a couple of these, the things filed in the class action suit that pertains to these guys. DeMarco was sent to B Unit, one of the most dangerous cell blocks in the prison. He was meatball whammed twice. A group of inmates dragged a 19-year-old mentally ill inmate into the bathroom in the middle of the night. They assaulted him and pulled his pants down in an attempt to meatball wham him. 5 inmates attacked and attempted to meatball wham Innocente Dykes and James Farrell. One victim had fingernail scratches on his neck and chest. He reported that his life was in danger. The other victim had scratches on his neck. He said, "These people are trying to meatball wham me." An inmate reported that Maurice Tobler and Thomas Crawford, that sounds familiar, entered Yakir Eklund's cell saying, "Give it up or we'll take it." Tobler and Crawford then raped him. That sounds real familiar. Tobler and Crawford then meatball whammed him. Tobler was one of the inmates who attacked Wayne Boatwright in February 2004. Anthony Bowen was forced to perform oral sex on 3 inmates on 4/4/03. 2 days later, on 4/6/03, Bowen was pulled into a cell in cell block E2, choked unconscious and meatball whammed. He was taken to Habersham Medical Center, where medical personnel reported signs of rectal trauma. Travis McLeod attacked Shane Prather with a shank, poking him repeatedly. McLeod has been charged with the death of Wayne Boatwright Jr. So that's another time when old Nut was out for some butt. Well, anyway, hopefully you guys can make better decisions. We're going to go on and end this one. We're going to close this one up. If you choose to decide to make bad decisions, just remember, Toad down there, Nut down there, and Home Alone still down there. And them boy horny, you know what I mean? Them boy horny, on some butt. All right, so I appreciate y'all. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. We got a banger for y'all tonight.